other way. There's only 31 actual picks in the first round. The Steelers have the first pick of the second round, number 32. So we're going to talk about that as well.
Absolutely.
Let's start with the top 10. We'll give in-depth, because most people really care about the top 10. We'll show you the rest of it, and we'll kind of talk through some of the big moves, like both the Steelers moves, and a couple other big moves. But let's start at number 1. Unfortunately, we can't play the music, or else we will get our asses copyrighted till we die. So
it happened last year, and we're not going to do that again. There's a couple of things that we're going to stay away from, but we're always going to play the Super Bowl one, so you can count on that. But
that's acceptable. We can take that one. But the draft one's not going to help.
No.
So we'll start with number 1. On the clock, the Carolina Panthers. I think they go ahead and take the obvious choice, Bryce Young, the quarterback from Alabama, at number 1. I think he's the most talented quarterback in the draft for a team that clearly needs a quarterback. They're like 24th in passing yards per game last season. And they've had, to be honest, a revolving door quarterbacks in the since Cam was like good.
I mean, because you had Cam, and they had Sam Darnold.
They had somebody in between. They had like Kyle Allen for a year.
That's right. And then they had a bridge guy for a couple years.
Teddy Bridgewater for a little bit.
But I mean, they've gone through 3 bridge quarterbacks
4 bridge guys. Go get your franchise quarterback. Bryce Young's clearly the most talented of the quarterbacks. He's the most pure passer. He's the most clever inside the pocket, which I think can make up for a lot of size. So he goes number 1 to the Panthers. Number 2, the Houston Texans on the clock. I went back and forth. Do they maybe take a defensive guy and look at, I don't even know, at number 12, maybe if you think Anthony Richardson would fall to 12, maybe they take one there. I think they just go ahead and make the safe pick and get C.J. Stroud. Yeah. I think it's safe to say that C.J. Stroud isn't going to be awful. I just think the ceiling's a little bit lower. But I think for a franchise who's been, even with Deshaun, in a little bit of a rocky state with quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I think they go get a very stable, grown-up adult in the room, C.J. Stroud. Even though he's a young guy, I think we can argue, or we can all agree, that he's very mature. He's a very pure passer, very NFL passing-ready quarterback. So I think Stroud's the pick at 2 for the Texans.
He also has the personality to kind of right the ship a little bit.
Yeah, I think so, too. To steady it out.
Very calming in the room, not going to cause drama, and just going to play his ass off for you.
I agree. Number 3, the Arizona Cardinals. Oh, also stipulation. We're not going to do trades here. I'm not going to sit here and try to work out trades.
You don't have a crystal ball with you that you're predicting?
No, I don't, because nobody expected A.J. Brown to go to the Eagles, and the Eagles to trade that pick. Like you said, we could sit here and play the what if game all day long. So Anyway, the Cardinals at 3. I think Will Anderson is the pick, the edge rusher from Alabama. I think he's the best edge rusher in the draft right now. And I think from Arizona's standpoint, they need an edge guy. They could go get like a Jalen Carter up the middle, but I think an edge guy is more impactful right now. We know they're not going to draft a quarterback. I think an edge guy is more impactful right now for the Cardinals, so him at 3.
Well, it's what they just lost, too. They need somebody to fill the shoes of JJ. And I know JJ wasn't doing much at the very end there.
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, he was a veteran in the room, and he was really good at what he did.
Yeah,
so you have to go get a really good talent at a super important position right now.
Also, they just got a defensive coach, so they're probably going to draft defense. That would make sense.
Yeah.
Number 4, Indianapolis Colts on the clock. They go ahead and take Will Levis, quarterback, Kentucky. Again, in turmoil and turnover constantly at quarterback since Andrew Luck shockingly retired. And I do think Levis has the body type. He has the arm. A lot of people say mechanical. We heard that with Justin Herbert a lot too, and that worked out just fine. Now, I don't think he's quite Herbert as a prospect. But I think he's a really talented kid. He's really, really smart from all I've heard.
Yeah.
So that's a plus there. Already likes to wear blue. I think Will Levis inside, that arm's going to look even better. I'll take Will Levis at 4.
Yeah, I mean, I like him, but I have my concerns with him in Indianapolis because he doesn't have the system around him. He doesn't have really any pieces that are going to be there to prop him up as a rookie. I mean, good running game. But outside of that, you don't have a lot of weapons. I mean, it's tough. We talked about Will Levis a bunch a couple of weeks ago, and we both said it really, really matters for him. He's 100%. Not going to be the type of guy that can go in and change a locker room and put a team on his back his first year.
I agree. Number 5 here, the Seattle Seahawks are on the clock. They'll go ahead and stop the slide of Jalen Carter, the defensive tackle from Georgia. We'll take him at 5. That's a total Pete Carroll pick.
Yeah.
He always finds the guy that kind of slips through the cracks a little bit, and not that just not that 5 is slipping through the cracks right at 5 overall, but he finds Sherman, who was too long, too lanky. Chancellor was too big for a safety. DK Metcalf slips to the second round, right? Jalen Carter, character issues. Doesn't matter. He'll go into Pete Carroll's system and he'll fit in just fine. He'll be a game wrecker in the middle. And in that division, by the way, you could use a big, strong, athletic guy on the line.
Super important.
They have a lot of really good offenses in that division, so it makes a ton of sense for Seattle at 5. 6 here, Detroit Lions. I'd go out and try to solve your DB issue. I mean, you let go of Jeff Okudah. He was a clear whiff. I would go get Christian Gonzalez, the DB out of Oregon. A lot of people think that he's the safest DB pick. Maybe not the home run best, but the safest pick. But so is Pat Surtain when compared to J.C. Horn.
Yeah.
And right now, Pat Surtain is a significantly better corner than J.C. Horn. So both are good, but Pat Surtain is a stud. J.C. Horn's more like big play, big risk. And so I don't think he's quite as consistent and quite as good of a corner. So I think Christian Gonzalez is very similar to like a Pat Surtain in that regard.
Yeah.
So I'll take him at 6 there to kind of solidify my DB position.
No, I like that.
Number 7, the Las Vegas Raiders are on the board. I think they go ahead there and take the J.C. Horn version of this draft, which is Devin Witherspoon, the DB from Illinois.
They need help in that secondary.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, so they have the edge rushers. They have Max Crosby. I think they re-signed Chandler Jones, I want to say. Either way, if not, they still have Max Crosby. So they're fine on the edge. Receivers are great. You have Jimmy G. Josh Jacobs is back. O-line is good. You could use some depth there, but I think the glaring need is the DBs in this on this team here. So Vegas goes and gets Witherspoon.
That's definitely what they need. I mean, that is just 100%. They're a pretty good team. I don't want to say that they're like great and can contend for anything special. I mean, they're in a great division and they by far have, I guess, the third or fourth best roster.
Maybe vie for a wild card. Maybe,
but like really, if they could get a good secondary and keep those and think about in division with a Mahomes, with a Herbert, like with a Russ, you're gonna have to have a guy to cover number 1.
100%, I agree. Number 8 here, I think the Falcons go get their left tackle for the future, Paris Johnson from Ohio State. Reminds me a lot of a prospect as Tyron Smith.
Yeah.
Because both are just insanely big, like look the part. Big, good feet, good hands, right? Are there some flaws outside of that? Yeah, but he's got all the making to be a franchise left tackle. Like I said, especially the size, the wingspan, the arm, power and drive that you see on tape. It really jumps out to me. And he's played in the Big Ten. That's a great offensive lineman conference. And the Falcons, if you're going to, which we think they probably are, not tank, but or at least have another top 10 pick, right? The clear smart choice here is Paris Johnson, again, built as a really sturdy NFL offensive tackle. So that to me is the pick at 8. Build the offensive line fortress for the hopeful incoming starter, young quarterback next year. Number 9, the Chicago Bears go get Tyree Wilson, the edge from Texas Tech. To be honest, I'm not crazy about him as a prospect, but I do think he is the best edge available. I think he's got a very, very high floor, but a low ceiling. I think he's going to be, at best, a 12-sack-a-year guy. But right now, the Chicago Bears will take any and all production they can get on the front. And I think he's the safest pick, which for a new GM, he could use safe picks that are going to be good, solid pros, which I think Tyree Wilson will be.
Supplement that defense.
Absolutely. So he'll be at 9. And finally, at number 10, the Philadelphia Eagles, their first of 2 picks are in the first round. They'll go get some offensive line depth. Lane Johnson's aging, Jason Kelsey's aging. You go get Peter Skoronski, the offensive tackle for Northwestern. I project him more as a guard at the next level due to the wingspan. And then I think he works well in that system. Yeah. I think he could be more of a road grading guard that can really get out in the run game, which is exactly what Philly wants to do. And it makes sense from Philly's standpoint. You just pay Jalen Hurts, protect him, right? Protect him.
100%. And, they're a punch-you-in-the-mouth kind of offense. They're going to run the ball at you. And Jalen Hurts is even going to run the ball at you, which I don't particularly love. But at the end of the day, that's their style. That's the way they play. Yeah. And a big, really, really tough, strong offensive lineman that can fit in that Philadelphia system is going to be huge.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's just run 11 through 32 real quick, and then we'll kind of stop and talk about a couple of these here.
For the audio-only audience, yeah.
Yeah, for the audio-only audience. If you are watching, you can see the list up there, obviously. At number 11, the Titans go with Jackson Smith and Jigba from Ohio State. 12 is Nolan Smith, the edge from Georgia. 13, the Jets will go get Michael Mayer, the tight end from Notre Dame. 14, the Patriots will go get Zay Flowers from Boston College, the wide receiver. 15, the Packers will go get tight end Dalton Kincaid from Utah. At 16, the Washington Commanders will go get Joey Porter Jr., the DB from Penn State. 17, the Lurs get Deonte Banks, safety, Maryland, just like Mike DeCastro, has in his mock as well. Talked me into it. At 18, the Detroit Lions go get Brian Branch, safety from Alabama. 19, Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback from Florida, Anthony Richardson. A little bit of a shock pick. We'll come back to that.
Okay.
Seattle with Jordan Addison, wide receiver from USC at 20. 21, Bijan Robinson, the running back from Texas, will go to the Chargers. 22, the Ravens get Kalijah Kancey from Pittsburgh, the D lineman. 23, the Vikings get Brian Breesy, D lineman from Clemson. The other defensive lineman from Clemson, Miles Murphy, will go the following pick to the Jags at 24. At 25, the Giants go Quentin Johnston, the wide receiver from TCU. They clearly need help there. 26, the Cowboys will go get Broderick Jones, the tackle from Georgia. They're aging tackles. That's going to make a ton of sense. Buffalo at 27, Jahmyr Gibbs, running back, Alabama. 28, the Bengals go get Cam Smith, the DB from South Carolina. B.J. Ojulari from LSU will go to the Saints at 29. Eagles get Derek Hall, the edge rusher from Auburn at 30. Kansas City, Andre Carter, the edge from Army at 31. Very Kansas City pick. 32, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Anton Harrison, the tackle from Oklahoma.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack there.
Let's actually start at 32 with the Pittsburgh Steelers' second pick. Technically a second-round pick, but is actually 32, which would typically be a first-round pick.
So tackle, address the offensive line. You need to do it, right?
Yeah, I think it's exactly what you need to do. I think the two glaring weaknesses are the secondary and the offensive line, and they've worked to improve the offensive line over the offseason with free agency. I don't think they're sold on Dan Moore at tackle. I don't think they are. I can
go either way on.
I don't think it hurts to spend a draft pick on a guy who could be your franchise left tackle. If he doesn't, then Dan Moore is
good enough.
C to
he's
C
good
plus.
Enough. He'll
good
hold
enough.
You over for a season.
100% good enough at C plus level player. So take a risk. Maybe this Anton Harrison can be your future left tackle.
Huge too, because you need to somehow find a way to clear holes for Najee a little bit and seal up those edges so that he can 100%. Get going. And then it's going to help a quarterback like Kenny Pickett so much.
Couldn't agree more. Number 27, direct your attention there. Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back from Alabama. A lot of people don't have a first-round grade on him. I think he's close. I have him somewhere around 32 to 35th overall prospect, but I think the Bills need a running back right now. You could argue me into an offensive lineman, but I don't think the value with Anton Harrison at 27 makes a ton of sense for them. I think Jahmyr Gibbs makes a ton of sense, helps them immediately. Great pass-catching back, which I think fits into what they want to do. Because they already have a couple good backs there. So Nyheim Hines, Jahmyr Gibbs, right? Very explosive running back room. I think it makes a ton of sense for the Bills to go Jahmyr Gibbs.
I mean, I like it. They need something to take the pressure off solely Josh Allen.
I agree.
That is not the recipe to win.
Problem.
Well, that's not the recipe to go far in the playoffs. You can win a bunch of games and you can do really well in a regular season like that, but you can't go make a run in the playoffs.
I don't think you can win a Super Bowl. Yeah. No, I agree. I think if Jahmyr Gibbs can come in and be a B+ to an A- running back, that's a back you could win a Super Bowl with.
For sure.
Yeah. All right, number 21, the Los Angeles Chargers. Bijan Robinson, the running back from Texas.
Yeah.
They already told Eckler, hey, go test the market. They're clearly not going to pay what he wants to be paid. But what better way to support Justin Herbert? So you already got him a left tackle.
Yeah.
The wide receiving crew is good enough. You can go add depth in the second, third round because there's plenty of them there.
Well, and you have cap room because you're not going to be paying Austin Eckler.
Right, so you can go get a Bijan Robinson, and then you can go get, I don't know, maybe you get depth on the defensive line, which they need because they can't stop the run, right?
Yeah.
But most of their team is pretty in stone. You could argue me to a DB, but I don't love a ton of value with any of the DBs left on the board at 21. I think they would be better. They would be a better football team tomorrow with Bijan Robinson, the running back from Texas.
Yeah, I think so. It's kind of for the same reason as the Bills. You still need that running back. Austin Eckler did a great job, but I mean,
I think Bijan is
you need somebody that's going to be cheaper.
He's a better NFL body.
You need somebody that's going to be cheaper,
100%.
Especially to win now with Justin Herbert.
You're going to pay Herbert probably next year, or even this year.
And he's going to garner a lot of money too.
A lot of money, yeah. Number 20, the Seahawks. I think Jordan Addison there. A lot of people would think that that's fairly overdrafted. I think he is closer to 25 to 30 overall prospect. But with that being said, you look at what Seattle needs. So, I mean, they already had a pick earlier. We had them picking 5, Jalen Carter.
which
solves your defensive line.
That makes a ton of sense.
You already have the rookie Tariq Woolen on the back end at DB, so you don't really, and Jamal Adams comes back, Quandre Diggs. You don't really need a DB, but you can probably get that in the third, fourth round. Your offensive line is really, really solid. You maybe add depth there, but I think Jordan Addison complements DK Metcalf, who's a burner, big physical receiver, vertical presence, and then Tyler Lockett, a little more gadget style, a little bit more deep down the field type player. Jordan Addison fits in perfectly. He's more of a route runner, Cooper Kupp style player. Crafty, really good at the top of the route. Seems to always be open for some reason, even though he's not the fastest or the strongest. So I think he fits well within their system. And Geno could use some help. Let's be real here. Geno needs help more than most quarterbacks. Most top end quarterbacks. Geno needs some help. So go get him some with Jordan Addison.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Number 19, the Bucs. Good Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, you got to explain this one.
Maybe a little bit of a shock, right? You have Baker for a year.
Sitting behind Baker.
Yeah, I'm not saying Baker's like a great mentor.
Let him learn how to talk to the media from Baker.
I'm not saying Baker's a great mentor.
Hey, Baker, take him out. Teach him a thing or two about
Could he just be good enough for Anthony Richardson to learn a little bit and just get reps, preseason reps, practice reps, couple packages here and there in the game? Because he's already from that footprint. He went to Florida.
And I'm not
You're in Tampa. It's
I'm
right
not
there.
saying it's crazy either, though, because, you're going to need something when Baker's gone. He's going to be a 1-2 year quarterback.
Yeah, and they probably need to rebuild down there, which fits perfectly with Anthony Richardson's timeline. If he's not even going to start till not this coming year, but the year after, that gives you a year and a half to rebuild the roster, which you clearly need to do.
For sure. Unless their plan is to really tank this year with Baker and then just
maybe
try to go get a Jacob May next year.
Possible. Okay, 17, Deontay Banks, safety, Maryland. Total Tomlin move. Big physical athlete.
Yeah.
Going to come up, pop you in the mouth a little bit. Again, we talked about the Maryland pipeline. I'm not going to get tons in depth on that. If you want to go listen to the Mike Nicastro interview, he gets very in-depth about Deontay Banks. Really, really nice player. I think he fits the Tomlin mold, which I've said, double down on what you're good at, go pay for what you're not. Tomlin's really good on defense, really good with safeties. Double down on that, go pay for an offensive lineman. I wouldn't waste a first round, like a technical, I say a 17th overall pick on an offensive lineman.
No, yeah, I agree.
And finally, at number 12, the Houston Texans go get Nolan Smith. A lot of people would consider that a very decent reach. I don't think so if it's going to D'Amico Ryan. So he's more of like a linebacker edge type player, like a TJ Watt style, really speedy, a little more slender, can bend really well around the edge. I think it fits what D'Amico Ryans wants to do, right? Think he had Bosa in San Fran, had a bunch of athletic linebackers. That's what he hopefully wants in Houston. So I think it fits what my coach, if I'm the GM here picking, I think it fits what my coach does well on defense, and we want his side of the ball to at least be solved. Go get him a toy to play with. Nolan Smith can move him around a ton. He's super athletic. He can cover. I think it's exactly what D'Amico Ryans would want in a pick, so they take him at 12.
I like that. It's good.
There's the mock draft.
What a mock draft. I'll leave it up here for a second.
It's gonna be. We're gonna hit every pick. I'm just saying. It's gonna be 32 for 32.
Fair enough.
Could you imagine?
That would be insane.
I think we got like 2 right last year.
It was tough. Last year was a really bad one. But last year, I think we also did it more in a way of, like...
Who we thought.
Well, we predicted like 4 trades last year, too, which was just a bad idea.
Yeah, it's a bad idea. I'm not even
Stay away from that. If you're ever making a mock draft, don't predict trades. Don't do it.
Just keep it simple.
Either way, guys, if you want to go